Very much. We'll see you then. Well, New Zealanders are waiting to hear whether they're going to have a new flag as a referendum on whether to replace the existing one draws to a close. In fact, it's just under half an hour now until the polls close, with a preliminary result due shortly after. Joining me now from Auckland, Sky News New Zealand reporter Uma Patel. Uma, what is going to happen? What's the feeling?
Well, the feeling is very much, sorry, mind the background noise, but the feeling is very much that the current flag is here to stay. Now, just around me, we are at the airport and a lot of people are heading home for their Easter break, rushing to get here, but others might be rushing to one of these. It's a post box. This is, of course, New Zealand's first ever postal referendum, and they have about 25 minutes to get their postal ballots in the box if they want to have it counted. Now, of course, New Zealanders have a choice between the current flag featuring the Union Jack, very similar to Australia's. It does have, however, 2 less stars. There are less points on those stars. And again, quite urgent proceedings here in New Zealand. Less points on those stars and a different colour in those stars. And that is versing the alternative flag. It features the silver fern, and that is the clearest difference. But it's also against a blue and black background. The blue represents the Pacific Ocean. The black represents New Zealand's past. Now, the silver fern is, of course, an indigenous fern to New Zealand, so it is quite important to New Zealand's culture. It has been used for over 160 years, but the Prime Minister favours it over the Union Jack, which is, of course, more of a representation of colonisation. Even though the polls are very clear, the Prime Minister says he's still not sure how the votes will go. Have a listen.
I mean, you think you get all this power when you're Prime Minister and you just find out same time as everybody else. So the answer is no. I really literally have no idea. I can look at the polls and see that a lot of people don't want to change, but equally on our polling each and every week in the last month, it's gone up, a lot in terms of people wanting to change. So it's massively dependent on turnout, I think, and who's motivated to vote.
The Prime Minister then not really sure how this will turn out, but voters and pollsters are quite certain. Around 58% want the flag to stay as is. Now, it is, of course, worth noting that if New Zealanders do elect to change their flag, it won't be the first time. In fact, the first ever flag elected here in New Zealand was elected by Māori chiefs when the Treaty of Waitangi was first proposed. It was then replaced by the Union Jack and then replaced again in 1902 by the version that they have now. But there was a lot of resentment from the Māori community when that was changed. But if you zoom forward to today, 85% of Māori don't want to change in this country. So quite a change in views from the Indigenous population here in New Zealand. David?
And look, voting's not compulsory, but I understand there has been a decent turnout. I want to ask you the political question here too, Uma. How much has John Key invested himself into this whole referendum debate, and what's at stake for him if it goes down? Will it matter much politically for him?
Yeah, a good question. He's been out and sort of distancing himself from what actually happened today when the result is called. He said that he doesn't really think it will be part of his legacy. No one remembers the Canadian Prime Minister who changed the flag. People don't think, or he doesn't think that he will be remembered. But it is worth noting that this was very much his policy. He was the first one to propose changing the flag. He personally wears the lapel of the alternative flag on his lapel, on his jacket every single day. He will be changing it if the flag referendum isn't successful. And he has been talking about it constantly, defending the policy. So it will be interesting to see how much this does affect his rating, if it is seen as a waste of money if the flag isn't changed here in New Zealand. But his language is definitely trying to distance himself from the result.
Uma Patel, Sky News New Zealand correspondent, thanks so much for that. We're going to get